This week on The Buzz, we're in X-Files Ecstasy, and Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho is 35. This week, we take an X-Files expedition. We'll mingle with stars David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson. And buzz with the show's creator, surfer dude turned scaremeister, Chris Carter. Then we'll interact with Mr. Payback, the biggest interactive movie ever made. And get scared all over again on the 35th anniversary of Psycho.
We all go a little mad sometimes. Haven't you?
Hey Buzzers, welcome to Sci-Fi Buzz. Mike Jarek, your host right here. The rest of the staff, they're kind of discussing their favorite X-Files episodes. Kind of fun. Of course, David Duchovny is on every episode, so Susan loves every episode. It's her favorite because she likes David. Now me, when Gillian Anderson is not on the show, I'm a no-show. The rest of the weirdos here on the staff, they just like the program because of all the wild encounters. Well, we certainly dug up a lot of buzz on the X-Files. Let's get to it.
You okay, Scully?
Yeah. I've read about cases of desecrating the dead before. This is the first time I've seen it.
Nothing can prepare you for it. It's almost unimaginable.
What does Surfing Magazine have in common with Fox TV's paranormal primetime show, The X-Files? Well, Chris Carter, the guy who created the Friday night favorite, spent several years working for the Radical Rag. After developing an ear for contemporary lingo, he began writing youth-oriented screenplays. Finally, a successful Hollywood track record allowed him to steer his creative energy in a whole new direction.
No, not again.
I wanted to do something very scary because there was a show on when I was a kid called The Night Stalker, which I loved. And then I have this wonderful opportunity to do my own show. They come to me and they say, "What do you want to do?" And I say, "I want to do something as scary as The Night Stalker."
Mission accomplished. The X-Files has consistently served up an hour-long helping of shocking scenarios week after week for 2 seasons now. But Carter says it hasn't been easy.
The X-Files is like a little movie each week, so it takes a tremendous attention to detail, and it takes a coordination of a lot of talented people to bring it to the screen each week. It's a miracle that we actually get it done.
You might assume the writers draw much of their material from documented paranormal encounters. But Carter insists the content of the show is purely fictional.
Ironically, we take very little from paranormal literature or anything to do with unexplained phenomena. Those are things that have been already covered by a number of people in this genre. So we try to choose things that are of interest to us scientifically and to tell good human drama and just scare the pants off people mostly.
The booming interest in the X-Files expressed on the internet and other computer bulletin services is a phenomenon in itself. Carter and his staff are well aware of the online activity and admit the comments submitted by fault-finding fans keep them on their toes.
It puts pressure on us to keep us honest. We've got to be honest on our science. Our research has to be accurate because we've got a big science-based audience out there who watches us very carefully and loves to pick our nits, as it were. And so that keeps us honest. I think we have to please that audience to maintain our popularity.
The X-Files recently triumphed at the Golden Globe Awards against some stiff competition, and the show has begun to see a promising increase in audience size, despite an unpromising time slot.
I think it's gone beyond a cult status with the number of people who are watching it. But we're not in the top 20 each week, and there's a reason for that. We're on Friday nights at 9. Not a great number of people watch TV on Friday nights at 9.
Carter is hesitant to reveal what the future holds for X-Files, but he says he's looking forward to a great 2-part season finale, which will be a bit of a cliffhanger. As for the legions of swooning viewers who harbor hope that lead characters Scully and Mulder will become more than professional pals.
No, they will not be romantically linked or attached, even though that's been a big question on everyone's minds from the beginning. I think people are tired of asking now because I've always given the same answer, which is emphatically no.
More X-Files, David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson, and if you're a fan, you gotta check this out. The TV show is all the rage. Now the X-Files has made it to the colored page. We'll fill you in on this week's Buzz Best Bets. Yep, the inevitable has happened, folks. Topps Comics recently released the first X-Files comic book. The monthly publication will feature original stories chronicling the abnormal adventures of Special Agents Fox Mulder and Dana Scully. Writer and fervent X-File fan Stefan Petruka is determined to transfer the show's successful blend of fear and reason into fine print. And the artwork, thanks to Charles Adlard, reflects the show's eerie atmosphere. The result is closer to a horror comic than your basic superhero fare. The next comic book is due out this Tuesday. That's this week's Buzz Best Bet. Two of the brilliant minds behind the film classic Psycho and Mr. Payback, the movie that lets you get even. Next. More with Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny in just a second, but first of all, our Psycho expert, Big Brave Dave, says that Psycho is the big 3-5.
Oh, Mike, I know you passed the big 3-5 a few years ago.
Be careful.
But, you know, in 1960, Robert Bloch's novel became Joseph Stefano's screenplay, and then Alfred Hitchcock took it and made a great film that scared the pants off of all moviegoers.
Did your pants come off too,
Well,
Dave?
no, but...
I mean, do you still think it's scary?
Well, rent the laser, turn up the audio, and you'll be petrified all over again.
The story behind Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho begins in the 1950s with a real murder in the hamlet of Plainfield, Wisconsin. The late author, Robert Bloch, was living in a nearby town and read about the crime in the newspaper.
At the time I lived in Wisconsin, there was a murder committed by Mr. Ed Gein, generally called Ed Gein by the people that didn't know him, apparently. And all that interested me about this gentleman was the fact that he had lived in a town even smaller than the one I was living in and was able to get away with murder without anybody finding out about it. I said, there's got to be a story here.
Bloch never learned much about the real-life killer or his motivations.
Very little was being said about it because in those days the press was quite prudish about giving details. So I had to more or less invent this character. So I invented Norman Bates.
In addition to the psychopath with a mother fixation, Bloch invented the Bates Motel and the shower in room number 1. But screenwriter Joseph Stefano proposed a crucial change in the beginning of Bloch's story when he first met with Alfred Hitchcock. The legendary director had bought the screen rights to the novel and was looking for a writer to adapt it.
I think the thing that got me the job was that when I went in and talked to him, I said that I would like to tell him the story of the movie. And I said it starts out in a hotel room with a beautiful young woman and a man. They've been shacking up on her lunch hour. And I proceeded to tell what you ultimately saw. And as opposed to the book, which started with Norman Bates and his mother.
Hotels of this sort aren't interested in you when you come in, but when your time is up.
Hitchcock loved the idea of using Janet Leigh's character as a decoy to lure the audience into thinking the whole picture was about her. That makes her murder, 40 minutes into the film, devastating.
Part of the shock of Psycho, I think, was that you liked the character. You liked the way Janet Leigh played her. You liked the fact that she was going to go back and face the music and give back the money. And then she got killed, and that's exactly where I wanted to hit you.
The film hit us all right. It became the most successful of Hitchcock's stellar career. But before its release, no one foresaw the phenomenon it would become. To Stefano, it was a B picture that was hardly in the same league as the Technicolor VistaVision films Hitchcock was doing at the time.
The movie was going to cost under $1 million. It was going to be in black and white. It was nothing like North by Northwest or any of the movies that he had made. And I felt a little disappointed. actually. I would much rather have done a North by Northwest, you know.
Though Psycho was shot quickly with a television crew, Hitchcock poured his creativity into the shower scene, taking a whole week to shoot the 45-second sequence. And of course, that scene is the most memorable in the film and one of the most memorable in film history. But it was the combination of three gifted artists, Robert Bloch, Joseph Stefano, and Alfred Hitchcock, which made Psycho the ultimate cinema shocker.
Mike, I got to talk to you about something.
I'm a little bit busy. I'm putting this next X-Files segment together, okay?
Mike, this won't wait. I just interviewed Bob Gale, the guy who wrote and produced Back to the Future.
Yeah,
he has
I know.
a new interactive movie out called Mr. Payback, and it's unbelievable.
We'll get to it next week.
Mike, we'll get to it now.
Don't hurt me. 15 years ago, when home computers were still something of a novelty, Bob Gale purchased one just to stay in step with modern technology.
I happen to love technology in all of its forms. Anybody that's a filmmaker should be loving technology, because if it wasn't for technology, we wouldn't be here. Action.
Now Gale has written, directed, and created the world's first interactive feature film, Mr. Payback.
One of the things that intrigued me about taking on this project is because nobody knows what an interactive movie is. The book hasn't been written on how do you make an interactive movie. So I thought to myself, hey, how many times in life do you get a chance to be the first guy to try something?
Let's have the wallet, man. Hey, I never give my wallet to strangers. Yeah? Well, you got to give it to me now, man. So you want to play, huh? Yes, 2 points.
Mr. Payback was shot in just 24 days on a modest budget of $1.6 million. Yet, despite serious time and money constraints, Gale was able to procure the services of Hollywood's best and brightest.
I got a lot of favors from a lot of people that I'd done business with over the years. Everybody just kind of said, hey, you know, this may be where the future's going. It's a possible future. Let's get into it.
You ever hear the kids rhyme, liar, liar, pants on fire?
Interfilm is the company that invented the interactive film system on Mr. Payback. And here's how it works. The movie was shot on standard 35mm film and transferred to 4 laser discs. It's then projected from a bank of laserdisc players in the projection booth. Gale takes it from there.
Interfilm is a system whereby the audience in a movie theater actually gets to vote on how the movie turns out and what happens during the course of the movie. And this is done with these pistol grips, which are installed right on the seats, right on the armrests. And you see there's a green, yellow, and a red button. And during the course of the movie, icons come up on the screen that match these 3 colors. And whichever one you want to vote for, you push the button. The majority rules, whichever of the 3 icons, 3 choices get the most votes, that's what happens.
With hundreds of scene variations, you'd have to see Mr. Payback 24 times in order to catch every possible version. And Gale is hopeful this plethora of plot possibilities will make for some animated audience interaction.
Unlike a normal movie, where at the beginning of the movie they'll put up this thing that says, shh, no talking, well, we're going to have a thing that comes up that says, please, talk, scream, yell. Barnyard behavior is encouraged here.
Choose which of your senses to attack, sight, sound, or touch, and per sec unit does the rest. Let's try it, shall we?
No, thank you.
It was a rhetorical question.
40 theaters across the country have daringly agreed to run this 20-minute interactive adventure. Now, Gale can only wait and hope for the best.
There's an exciting future out there. Nobody knows exactly what it is. I'm just shooting the dice here like everybody else and keeping my fingers crossed and hoping this turns out to be something.
It's back to the X-Files to expose 2 of the show's stars, David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson, after this sponsor spectacle.
There are beings, aren't there, Dwayne? Are they tall or small?
No,
diminutive?
When David Duchovny first landed the role of Fox Mulder on the X-Files a few years ago, he predicted the gig would last 6 episodes tops. But with the show currently cruising through its 2nd season, the optimistic actor has wisely revised his forecast.
I think it could go 5 years. I think it definitely will go 4 years. I think it could go on, for a stupidly long time, past 5 years. I don't think it should. They take you aboard the ship to perform the tests.
They drilled my teeth.
They drill holes in my damn teeth!
Though his character is a believer in paranormal phenomenon, Duchovny himself questions the show's catchphrase, "The truth is out there." But he insists the issue is irrelevant, since it's the acting challenges that keep the job interesting for him.
It doesn't deal with fact, it deals with speculation, so I like some of the avenues it goes down, and I like some of the character things we get to do. There was a show we did called Dwayne Barry, a two-part show, Dwayne Barry and Ascension, with Steve Railsback. And I really like that because it's more of a psychological. I like the more psychological ones.
Since he stepped into the role of Fox Mulder, Duchovny has become a bona fide TV sex symbol. There's even a group on the internet called the David Duchovny Estrogen Brigade. And while the actor is appreciative of the high approval rating from fans, the show's grueling shoot schedule leaves him yearning for downtime.
You should be nice to fans because they're just people and they like your work. That's wonderful. And I appreciate, everybody that likes the show. However, I work really hard on the show, and sometimes you want to relax. And one person coming up and saying, "Hi, I like your work," that's one thing. But if you multiply that by, 150, then your day is shot.
Looks like Duchovny is in for some tough times ahead. With the X-Files set to leap off the screen and into the world of merchandising, his mug will be popping up on dolls, hats, T-shirts, you name it. But the actor admits his biggest fear is that he'll be making personal appearances long after the show has ceased production.
That would mean that I couldn't get any work and I ran out of money, and that would probably be the most depressing thing that I could imagine.
In a business where few let their guard down, Duchovny's honesty is admirable, if not somewhat disheartening. After all, he's the rising star of a network TV show, beloved by his audience. What more could an actor want? But it seems for Duchovny, who holds a master's degree in English Lit from Yale, it's just not enough.
So, lunch?
Mulder, toads just fell from the sky.
Guess their parachutes didn't open. You were saying something about this place not feeling odd?
I'd like to try different things. I'm not totally satisfied just acting, I thought maybe I would be. I know I'm not, so. That may be a function of me not being as good as I want to be, or, there may be many reasons, but I think that my life will be a series of attempts at things, and not, I've given up thinking that I'll find the one thing that satisfies me, so hopefully I'll be good at something else too.
This is Jennifer Larley with the X-Files Fan Club. Hook up with over 1,400 fellow fans in support of this terrific show. You'll get a membership certificate, first season episode guide, and a year's subscription to our bi-monthly newsletter, The Best Part. It contains facts, photos, news, interviews, and much more. For further information,
She may play the oh-so-cool skeptic Dana Scully on The X-Files, but motherhood has thrown Gillian Anderson's life into chaos. We recently sat down for a heart-to-heart with the lovely actress and found her suffering from a severe case of sleep deprivation.
Think. Oh.
We set off on a simple course of questioning. Since Scully was abducted by aliens earlier this season, wouldn't that make her less of a skeptic?
It's not going to suddenly make her accept all cases. It's not going to suddenly... I'm completely... My brain, this is killing me.
We thought rewording the question might help. So what are some of the experiences Scully's had that most defied scientific explanation?
Well, I think at the end of most episodes that we shoot, it could either go one way or the other. There are very strong Can you believe it?
We were about to shift gears entirely, but Anderson seemed determined to answer the question.
There's very strong evidence pointing to, let's go on to the next one.
Maybe Anderson was having a paranormal encounter during our interview. But as a working woman and a new mother, she did find the strength to put the myth of the super mom into perspective for us.
I have no time that is my own, it seems, anymore. Before, you know, it's so ironic that this year, you know, from last year on in the first season, the actors always have a place to go to, and they have these little trailers that they go to. The first season it was a little trailer, and this year the trailer has grown considerably, which of course is beneficial because I have a nanny and a baby on set with me, but I find myself just wandering around the parking lot and the streets because I can't even go in there anymore to get any peace of mind. You know, I do to be with the baby, but sometimes when I need a break, I just gotta take off down the street because there's nowhere to go anymore. Mulder, it's me. I just had something incredibly strange happen.
Life and the X-Files obviously goes on for Gillian Anderson. But as for our interview, we decided to quit while we were ahead. Spring or summer, the first X-Files convention, sounds like fun, and a line of X-Files merchandise. When we know the convention dates, we'll pass it along to you. Or if you find out ahead of us, call. Let's see, what else am I supposed to tell you? Oh yeah, bye. See you next week for more Sci-Fi Buzz.
The mysteries of aliens, the magic of Houdini, the miracles of angels. Now the real stories, people, and events are explained in a thrilling new series, Mysteries, Magic, and Miracles, hosted by Patrick Mc...